Cannibalism in North America. Hunger, horror, and the edge of survival. The wind moves softly through the trees, whispering stories few dare to repeat. Beneath the soil of North America, under deserts, forests, and frozen mountain passes, lie traces of a taboo that emerges only when humanity is pushed beyond its breaking point. Cannibalism in North America is not a single story of savagery, nor a myth invented to dehumanize others. It is a fractured mosaic of famine, ritual, fear, and survival, etched into bones, journals, and oral traditions. This is not a tale meant to shock, but to unsettle. Because cannibalism here is not about monsters. It is about people, cold, starving, desperate, standing at the edge of extinction. Long before Europeans set foot on the continent, the arid lands of the American Southwest bore witness to collapse. Among the remains of the ancestral pueblos, archaeologists uncovered something deeply unsettling. Scattered human bones, cracked, scorched, bearing the same cut marks seen on butchered animals. Skulls split open, long bones snapped to extract marrow. At sites like Cowboy Wash in present-day Colorado, chemical analysis revealed human myoglobin muscle protein inside ancient cooking pots. The evidence suggested not ritual burial disturbance, but consumption. The 12th and 13th centuries were times of catastrophic drought. Crops failed. Entire settlements were abandoned. In the stillness of empty pueblos, hunger rewrote morality. Cannibalism here was likely not cultural tradition, but an act of last resort, performed in moments when starvation hollowed out the soul. Yet debate lingers. Some scholars argue these acts may have been part of terror warfare, meant to intimidate enemies. Others insist famine alone explains the evidence. What remains undeniable is this. In the silence of the desert, people ate people, and then the winter of 1609 to 1610 arrived like a curse. At Jamestown, England's first permanent colony in North America was already unraveling. Drought poisoned the river. Relations with local tribes collapsed. Supply ships failed to arrive. Then the cold closed in. The colonists called it the starving time. Journals speak in broken, trembling language. People eating rats, snakes, shoe leather. Graves dug up, bodies consumed. One man killed his pregnant wife, salted her flesh, and was executed when discovered. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed as exaggeration, until archaeology spoke. In 2012, forensic analysis of a teenage girl's skull, nicknamed Jane, revealed unmistakable cut marks from a blade made after death. Her face had been carefully removed, the brain extracted. She had been eaten. Jamestown's cannibalism was not myth. It was survival written in bone. High in the Sierra Nevada, winter fell like a trapdoor. In 1846, the Donner Party, 87 immigrants bound for California, chose a shortcut. It was a fatal mistake. Snow buried the trails. Oxen collapsed. Wagons froze in place. They built crude cabins near Donner Lake. Then they waited. Weeks passed. Food vanished. Children cried until their voices failed. People died quietly in the night, wrapped in blankets stiff with ice. When the dead outnumbered the living, the unthinkable became necessary. Survivors later spoke of it in whispers. Flesh roasted over fires, bodies rationed, morality dissolved by hunger. Some refused and died. Others lived and carried a memory forever. Cannibalism here was neither ritual nor violence. It was arithmetic. Calories versus death. Not all cannibalism in North America was driven by starvation. Among some indigenous groups, acts of ritual cannibalism occurred within specific cultural and spiritual frameworks, often misunderstood or grotesquely exaggerated by European observers. Captured enemies might be symbolically consumed to absorb strength, courage, or spiritual essence. In warfare, cannibalism could serve as psychological terror, a message to rivals that annihilation awaited them. These practices were rare, contextual, and deeply ceremonial. They were not everyday behavior, nor signs of inherent brutality. Colonial narratives, however, weaponized these stories, amplifying them to justify conquest, enslavement, and genocide. Here, cannibalism became propaganda. In the frozen forests of the North, cannibalism took on a different shape. Among Algonquian-speaking peoples, There exists a legend of the Wendigo, a gaunt, skeletal being with endless hunger, a human who resorts to cannibalism. The story warns, becomes something else, something cursed. The Wendigo is not just a monster. It is a moral boundary made flesh. Anthropologists believe the myth functioned as a psychological safeguard during harsh winters, where starvation was common and the temptation to consume the dead was real. The story said, survive, but not at the cost of your humanity. To eat another was to lose your soul. Cannibalism in North America does not belong to one people, one era, or one culture. It emerges again and again at the fault lines of disaster, when systems fail, environments collapse, and survival narrows to a single brutal choice. It forces an uncomfortable truth into the light. Civilization is thinner than we believe. When food disappears, when hope erodes, when winter refuses to end, human beings become capable of acts they swear they never would. Not out of cruelty, out of fear. The bones remain, the journals fade, the legends warn, and somewhere beneath the soil, history still waits, silent, watching, remembering.